M is for March, and it's for moving, and that's exactly what the bass are doing this time of year. They are in transition, and the feed bags are on. And this is how I like to catch them. No matter where you are in the country, maybe a few places up north, it is about the feed bags, tying on, getting ready to lay those eggs come late March, early April. And it is time for the big bass to start biting. And that's what makes March so fun, because there's 100 different ways to be able to catch them. But what I'm going to show you today is some of my favorite ways to catch them, and maybe even a new personal best, because March may be the best time for that. Hey, before we start though, I got one little thing I want you to do. We haven't talked about this in a very long time, but as you can see, I've got the new BassGeek hoodie on. The store is up. If you go to bassgeekfishing.com, there'll be a link down in the description. Hey, we've got all kinds of different hats, visors, t-shirts, some basic t-shirts that start before shipping and taxes at like $9 and change. So you can go out there and check it out. You know, as always, us big guys, we got a little more. I think they go up to like 12 bucks. But we've got them all the way up to, I think it's like 5X and long too. So hey, I'll make sure that all the products, or at least most of them that we put out there, will fit us big boys. I think there's some short sleeve performance shirts out there. I think they only go up to 3, maybe 4X. They just won't make them any bigger than that. And I think I seen some long sleeves, but I haven't got into that. Listen, if you find a problem with the new store, let me know. You know, send me an email, because it is new. It's a little more hands-on. So we're trying to get everything, all the bugs worked out and everything right. It seems everything's working great. Like I said, I've made a couple of orders now, not had a single problem. A couple other people have made some orders, not had a problem. So if you have an issue, make sure you yell at me. I'll get it fixed for you. But yeah, you know, the boggins, the hoodies, the t-shirts, you know, pretty much anything you can imagine. All right, now let's get down to business, and let's talk about one of my favorite ways to catch them in March, and that's crankbaits. Now, we just did an incredible crankbait video that broke down a great, affordable system for people who are getting started in the crankbaits. One of the biggest problems I always find about crankbaits is that you're not going to be able to, like a jig, to fish it all through the depth ranges. So you have to invest in multiple crankbaits that are going to cover different depth ranges. And we've got a great system for that, using some of the all-time greats. And you should really go check that video out. At the end of this video, I'll leave a link to it. But one of the baits that we talk about in that video is the flat A. Now this is an incredible little bait. It's not a square bill. It's actually kind of got a very pointed oval bill, which allows that to hunt. It's great in March, early March, when the water's still cold, or you get some of those cold snaps. Tight wiggle, hunts all over the place, incredible little bait. The Bandits 100s, great little square bill. 200 and 300, covers a lot of different depths. It's got a much wider wobble, so during the spring you get some of those rains, the lake raises up, and you've got that dirtier water. Great baits for that. Another great bait that I love to use this time of year, and that is from Spro. This is the rock crawler. Pretty sure this is the 55. So it's all about wide wobble or tight wiggle when it comes to March, when it comes to crankbaits for me. And that's again where this little bait comes in. This is the Fritz side. This is the Fritz side 7. The 5s are incredible, lots of different sizes. But you can tell how slim this bait is and how much it's going to have a really tight wiggle in the water. And that's my 5th pick. Love to crank this time of year, especially on a day like today. We got some overcast, we got some wind blowing. Find those wind blown rocky areas and just go to having a good time, geeks. The bass love to suspend up this time of year, so do the shad. So they can be out shallow, even in the open water. Even on the cloudiest of days, you don't want too much wind blowing. That's the key. You get a good cloudy day that's not quite calm, maybe just a tiny bit of ripple on the water, overcast day, man, you better pull out one of these. This is, of course, the Abyss by Demiki Lures, one of my favorite baits. Just kind of really started falling in love with this thing in 2025, and it's already becoming a big player in 2026 for us. The Abyss is a smaller profile, but a girthier, that's right, take a drink, geeks, a girthier little jerkbait. Really got a big build. It's going to get down there deep, and it's got a great casting system. So you're going to be able to cast this thing a mile and get it as deep as you want it. These bass are suspended up, incubating those eggs, and sometimes a jerkbait is what's going to catch your biggins. Now, I've always said this, I have said this for a long time, and this is a great color. I think this is called Purple Descent or something. But the Shadow Wrap Deep, and you know, I use a lot of deep because they tend to be a little deeper on my lakes because I've fished a lot of clear, deep water lakes. They make shallows in all these. But this is from Rapala, and this is one of my favorite jerk baits by them. Like I said, the Shadow Wrap or the Shadow Wrap Deep. These are, I always say I don't get a lot of bites on these, but I seem to get the big bites on these. So this is a bait that once I've caught a few and I'm looking for a big bite, for whatever reason, this is the bait I'm grabbing. And when I'm fishing ultra clear water, it's dead slick calm. I don't know why. We had a discussion on a podcast I was interviewed on the other day, and this is a big question. Why do we not have more companies making matte colors in hard baits? This is probably one of my favorite colors, and it's really a do nothing. It has no flash, but in this clear water, this little 110+1 Junior from Megabass and Matt Shad is deadly. Last out of the jerk baits, but definitely not least, this has quickly become one of my very favorites. I love this, and I've got, I think, every color that they make, and probably two of them in most of them that I really, really love. And they come in, this is the standard version. They come in junior sizes, both shallow and deep. This is a standard version. This is the deep, and this is the Booyah Flashpoint. I love this. On a day like today, especially with that gold blade, this is an incredible little color right here. And that gold blade with this overcast sky is going to give you more flash than a silver blade will. And they embed it. So not only is it great to use when you're scoping, but it really gives a target for the bass to key in on. They eat this thing head first 99% of the time. So number 4 this time of year, it's a jerkbait. When I say it's time to catch the biggest bass of your life, a lot of times a great way to guarantee that is throwing the biggest bait you can get a hold of. And as you can tell, I got a few of them that I keep with me this time of year. Anything from the clutch, I mean, to the bull shads, to the river to seas. A couple that are really good to start with. This is, I think, the 6-inch from river to sea. I mean, we all know this. If you've been around swimbait fishing for any time, you know this little bait right here. And this is the S-Waver. It's in bone. Great little bait to get started, especially right now. Mostly what I'm going to throw are going to be what a lot of people call chop glides or cover glides. Something where they've got a nice tight movement, because I'm going to do exactly that this time of year. Laydowns, docks, marinas. I'm going to throw around a lot of cover this time of year. The deeper, these are great because I can work them slower and pause them, which calls those bass up very easily. One of my favorites, and a lot of times you got to get these off the drops, but these are from Bull Shad. I've got a great 6-inch in there. They do sell some smaller versions of these on tackle warehouse. And a great one to get started with is this one right here. This is the Spro KGB Chad Shad. I think this is in gizzard shad or natural shad, just something like that. But man, these are very great mass-produced swim baits. I'm going to give Clutch a big shout out. You know, if you want to get into those more custom, there's a lot of great makers out there. But this is another great one. You're not going to really need too much of a specialty rod. Probably a good flipping rod for this right here. Maybe not even that much. But get out there and throw these this time of year around cover, and you're going to catch some big bass. Now, another couple of great swim baits are your soft glides like Berkeley. There's several different ones out there, but if you want to get into them cheap, this is the one to get into. They make a couple of different types now. This is the Nessie, and it's great again to throw over that shallow of shallowest of cover, and they will come get it. Something else that I like to do, and there's several different types out there, but this is a new one that I like a lot, and this is from Deep Creek. And when I say it's got a boot tail, it has got a boot tail. Now, it acts very much like a wedge tail on a Huddleston, or as my compadres, Tackle Junkie and Debo, make fun of me for saying, on the Huddies. So the Huddleston, but it's a great cold water swim bait, but it's also great to put belly hook rig, and you can really tick that deep timber, and that's going to call up some bass. So number 3 has got to be big, soft and hard swim baits. So this time of year, the shad really begin to ball up. They're in the 90% of the time, they're in the mouths of the creeks, the first thirds of the creeks, and a lot of times there are tons of them, which pull the bass into feeding. And we've noticed the water temps are rising, so everything's starting to move, everything's starting to get active. And over the years, there's been a few minnow baits that I love to throw. They're my go-tos, they're my old reliables. But what happens this time of year, you'll get a warm front, which we just had, and everybody was whacking them. The first real consistent 3 to 4 day warm front of the year. And that really started the transition this time of year. But when those warm fronts gather those shad up and they come to the surface and the bass start feeding on them, inevitably what comes next but a hard cold front, and you get a shad kill. And that's why this time of year I like to use, when I'm in open water, the smaller baits like this. The Yum FF Sonar Minnow, one of my favorite colors right here. This is one of my, really, it's been one of my go-to baits since they come out with it. Love the iridescent, incandescent, I don't even know, kind of blue that's in this, but this is the clear shad. This is a great color and a great little bait this time of year. Next up, and this is just such a finesse little bait. It's just been one of my go-tos since we just Damiki rigged, well before live scope. And that's the Damiki Armor Shad. And this is actually the Damiki head, and I love how it pairs together. So one of the few non-tungsten heads that I consistently use, simply because of the eyeballs and the way it wraps around a lot of the minnows' heads. It's just a seamless connection that, for whatever reason, consistently gets bit. And that little bit of weight on the bottom will actually give you a little bit of roll action too. Two new ones that I've added to the arsenal over the past year has got to be this little puppy. This is the Exxon Rally Shad. Now they come in two sizes. I think this is the 3.5 inch, and I think it's 4.5 inch. But this is a great little bait. It's got a thinner belly, and it really works well on the Rollin' Strollin' head by Queen's Tackle. You guys seen me do a video on this the other day. If you haven't, I'll leave this at the end of the video also, so you'll have a link to both of those videos. This is called the Finicky Sonic Glide. Now, a few things that I love about this is the tails actually have lips, so they have a really tight kick. So you can swim it like a very subtle swim bait, or you can shake it like a minnow bait. I love the split tail that is horizontal on this. I love the hexagon holes. It holds the gel from net bait, the bait fuel in these holes, but it really does help you get bites when the water's cold, and the bass are a little more finicky. Another great little bait, man, we found this down at iCast this year. This is the hinge minnow. Love this size, love the girth to it, love that it's got the wings on it. It's got a really good roll action to it because of the tail. And this is from Yamamoto. Comes in a lot of cool different colors. This is a killer little bait that we've added to the arsenal just this year. And last but not least, this is the Elastec. This is the baby, or I don't think they call it the baby. This is just the Z2 from Strike King. Now, this is one of my favorite colors. I think this is maybe the Tennessee Shad. Don't have any with me today, but I think they're called the Gray Glimmer. It's probably my go-to. It's just a great neutral shad color for clear water. So, love these. They give a little float, especially if you got some bass that are higher in the water column. This is definitely the way to go. Now, you can see I've got this teamed up with one of the queen tackle strolling head. You can see how the eye is turned backwards and what that does. If you want to roll, and probably need to do an update on the minnow baits. So, what a roll does is keep the bait moving a little slower horizontally, but you can also do a lot of that by shaking that, just by adjusting your weight. So, you know, it doesn't really have to be a roll. But anyway, great little combo of baits. This is probably my go-to head on pretty much any of them. One of the other heads that I love to use with the minnow bait, I love the double keeper on there. This is from Pulse Fish. This is a pretty much 100%, I think, made in the USA tungsten head. Probably the only one out there. So a great little head. I like that kind of flat color that it has to it, but this is one of my go-to heads. So a jig head minnow, absolutely number 2. You're going to catch a lot. You're going to catch some big ones on it this year. So the number 1 has got to be the good old A-rig. I throw a lot of different A-rigs, you know, Shane baits. And by the way, everything in this video, there will be a link in the description. We don't do memberships because we want to include all of you geeks. We don't want some of you to get some sweet info and have to pay for it. So if you want to support us, it really does help us. Make sure you go down into the description below, bookmark that, link down there to Tackle Warehouse, or scan this code on your phone and bookmark it on there. Anytime you go buy something, just use our link. That's all you have to do. Doesn't cost you a dime. But the A-rig, again, this is the Flash Mob Junior, and you can tell I kind of let the cat out of the bag on this because I've seen some other people talking about this. This is something that we've done for a long time, is we took the blades off, we put hitchhikers or screw locks on here, and we replace them with, old school used to be like the Fluke Juniors, the Demikis. That's pretty much what's on there right now, the Demiki Armor Shad 3-inch. And generally I tag that up in the cold weather, the 1st of March, with the Strike King Rage Swimmers in the Ghost Shad. One of my favorite colors right there. It's just a great go-to color out in these clear lakes. Now, when the bass get real active, we'll change colors and put on some brighter colors out there as we get into mid and late March and even April and May. But for right now, this is what we go to. We even put on a little bit of chartreuse, a little bit of purple on the side of the trailer. give it a little makeup, as we call it, and 90% of the time they knock the crap out of it. The ones that we've caught on it today, I mean, they have tried everything they could to swallow it whole. We've had to do surgery on most of them. So that tells me that it might be time to start getting out those bright colors, because when they get aggressive, those bright colors tend to be a key on this thing. One of the reasons why I love to put these on instead of the blades is because we have an overcast sky today. So that silver blade really isn't going to get as much flash as you think. But these little baits right here in the water just pulsating, holy cow, it looks like a tighter, bigger school of bait. And when you first start doing this, trust me, you'll notice the aggressiveness of the bass tick up just a touch. It's just such a great bait to use to adjust the size of heads. We're, like I say, we're on the Virginia side, so we're using, 5 hooks, 5 heads. If we were on the Tennessee side, we'd cut it down to 3, just use the bottom. You can adjust the weight. And I mean, we'll fish this thing. We've got one rig we did a video on years ago talking about fishing this thing vertically for bass that were chasing alewives in 50, 60, 70, 80 feet deep. Now we've really focused on just the banks this year, all the way down to 40 and 50 foot deep, and it's been a very productive winter. Now March, you don't have to do that so much, and as the water temps warm, the shallower they get, and trust me, the more competitive they get. It's a great way to go catch a bunch. You'll have a good time. But the A-rig is numero uno in the month of March. Now we're throwing 3/8 and 2/4 on here, and this rod does it incredibly well. This is the Cashin Core. It's the A-rig. If you go to Tackle Warehouse, it's listed under their umbrella rig. And the great thing about Cashin, man, they're made in the USA. This is 7'10". I like a long rod. I like one of 7'10". 7'6" is probably the smallest that I'll go. But this is a heavy, moderate fast. And what that does is gives you a little bit of tip to cast those lighter A-rigs. Like I said, everything right down to the blank is made in the USA from Cashin. So if you like to support American-made products, this rod company is for you. And for you guys that wonder about these and how well these are, the grips are incredible. They're not slick, they are hard, but I like that because the sensitivity comes through the blank into the handle, unlike cork or foam, which kind of keeps or dampens the feel of the bait. And I've got this paired with the Lew's BB1 Pro. This is the old school BB1. It's got a little wider spool, that's why I use it. Been using it for years, and I think it is a 6-4-1. So it allows me to fish it super slow or speed it up a little bit and get it out there. By the way, you want to fish these slow. Slow and low is the way you want to go. And I've got it coupled with K9. This is their 18-pound test. Like, I like to get all the way down to 15 sometimes when it's really clear. But this is their co-poly, their fluoro. It's called fluoro. It's co-poly. Got a 10% off discount right here. And I really could do my top 100 in March. There's so many different ways and so many fun ways to catch them this time of year. I am so happy, and I know a lot of you geeks are too, that we're getting out of the winter doldrums. I'm so tired of having on 8 layers of clothes and being cold and snow and all that crap. I'm just tired of it. I'm ready for some sunshine and just happy life, right? Anyway, it's cold out here today. Really, I'm dying to put my jacket back on, but I started this without it, so all right, all that being said, geeks, you want to go check out these 2 videos that I was talking about, the Finicky Sonic Glide and the crankbait system that I was talking about, go check it out right here, these 2 videos. And as always, questions and comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad. Hey, 2026, I'm telling you, things are happening. We need you, and you geeks rock.